Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahabushai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And those dead bodies are referring to the spiritually dead bodies of the children of Israel, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans lying in the street of that so-called great city, the United States of America. And 2/3 of the nation of Israel are spiritually dead in the United States of America because they want to be everything else under the sun but who they truly are, the children of Israel. They refer to themselves as Black, African American, an Egyptologist, Kemet, Mexican, Hispanic, Latino, Puerto Rican, Native American, Choctaw, Cherokee. I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Catholic, I'm a red-blooded American, I'm even an atheist, etc., etc. And the reason that so-called great city, the United States of America, is referred to as spiritual Sodom and Egypt in this verse is because, for one, it's known as spiritual Egypt because it's functioning in the same capacity that ancient Egypt served for the children of Israel, as a place of slavery and hardcore bondage and servitude. And also, this modern day spiritual Egypt has a lot of the same practices and symbolism that ancient Egypt had. Just look at the back of your $1 bill with the pyramid with the one seeing eye. They have that casino that's shaped like a pyramid in Las Vegas. There's a pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. You have the Washington Monument, which is an obelisk. And also, getting your hair lined up, drinking beer, and eating bread were all heavy practices in ancient Egypt. And the reason the United States of America is also known as spiritual Sodom is because this is the #1 country that pushes the alphabet agenda, beginning with LG, onto the entire planet. Hey, from social media to Hollywood and in the different structures of the government and the military, which is what I'll be going into with this video with an article from the WashingtonExaminer.com titled, Army Releases Recruitment Advertisement Featuring Lesbian Wedding. Hey, that great city, which is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. And for all these wicked practices that the United States of America, that spiritual Sodom and Egypt has been pushing onto the planet, and especially been pushing onto the children of Israel, it's going to get hit with 200 million nuclear missiles that's going to turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards. The U.S. Army, the spiritual Sodom and Egyptian army, released an animated advertisement featuring a girl raised by two mothers who marched in pride parades. The advertisement, titled Emma/The Calling, showed a girl's childhood before she joined the army as a Patriot missile operator. The 2-minute video followed Emma while she watched her two mothers get married, joined a sorority at the University of California, Davis, and fought for freedom, I like that it's in quotes, at a young age by participating in a gay rights parade. It begins in California with a little girl raised by two moms. Although I had a fairly typical childhood, took ballet, played violin, I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age, she said in the advertisement, which was posted to YouTube on May 4th. When I was a 6-year-old girl, one of my moms had an accident that left her paralyzed, she continued. Doctors said she might never walk again, but she tapped into my family's pride to get back on her feet, eventually standing at the altar to marry my other mother. And here's this video which we're about to play. And real quick, This is a video being used simply for educational purposes under a fair use. I do not own this video or the content in it, and I don't expect to gain anything monetarily from this video.
This is the story of a soldier who operates your nation's Patriot missile defense systems. It begins in California, with a little girl raised by two moms. Although I had a fairly typical childhood, took ballet, played violin, I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age. When I was 6 years old, one of my moms had an accident that left her paralyzed. Doctors said she might never walk again. But she tapped into my family's pride to get back on her feet, eventually standing at the altar to marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class, and then attended UC Davis, where I joined a sorority full of other strong women. But as graduation approached, I began feeling like I'd been handed so much in life, a sorority girl stereotype. Sure, I'd spent my life around inspiring women, but what had I really achieved on my own? One of my sorority sisters was studying abroad in Italy. Another was climbing Mount Everest. I needed my own adventures, my own challenge. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove...
Real quick, let's not talk about the rampant sexual abuse that happens to both men and women in the U.S. military. Let's make it seem like a grand adventure where you can find yourself and spread democracy and freedom to the rest of the world when you're actually just spreading oppression and tyranny.
My inner strength, and maybe shatter some stereotypes along the way. I'm U.S. Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my calling.
Back in Revelation chapter 11, verse 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And besides being known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt in the scriptures, the United States of America is also known as spiritual Assyria and Babylon the Great, the virgin daughter of Babylon, mystery Babylon, that whore in Revelation chapter 17. And where it says where also our Lord was crucified, hey, our Lord is crucified here in the United States of America, Yahushua HaMashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ. That's one way in which he's crucified. His true name isn't pushed, and his true image isn't pushed. He doesn't look like a so-called white man or Edomite with stringy brown hair. When you go to Revelation chapter 1, it says his appearance is as a dark-skinned Negro with a white woolly afro and beard. And also, even though this country likes to push that it's a Christian nation, it does everything to go against the scriptures. It would like to X out the Bible and push its pseudosciences like evolution. The advertisement was released as a similar recruiting method where the advertisement was released as similar recruiting methods were employed by the Central Intelligence Agency over the past few years, drawing criticism on social media. Growing up gay in a small southern town, I was lucky to have a wonderful and accepting family. I always struggled with the idea that I may not be able to discuss my personal life at work, said a man in one of the agency's advertisements. Imagine my surprise when I was taking my oath at the CIA and I noticed a rainbow on then-director Brennan's lanyard, I remember being stunned, the man continued, adding that inclusion is a core value here at the CIA. So that's it with this article. But like I said earlier in the video, for all these wicked practices and philosophies that the United States of America, that so-called great city, spiritual Sodom and Egypt, as well as Babylon, has been pushing onto the entire planet, and especially onto the nation of Israel to take us away from our power, 200 million nuclear missiles are going to hit this place and turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards. Now I'm going to close it out in Isaiah chapter 13, verse 19 to 22. And Babylon, the United States of America, spiritual Assyria, spiritual Sodom and Egypt, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And how did the Most High overthrow ancient Sodom and Gomorrah? With fire and brimstone from the sky. And again, without sounding like a broken record, he's going to overthrow this modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, this spiritual Sodom and Egypt, with modern fire and brimstone from the sky, those 200 million nuclear missiles. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. After this place is hit with those 200 million nuclear warheads, it's going to be the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland where man, woman, or child will never set foot on ever again. Only desert creatures will dwell here, and it's going to stand as a memorial as to what a wicked kingdom looked like, how not to govern the earth, and what the judgment and punishment is for afflicting the apple of the Most High's eye, the true children of Israel, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Verse 22, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places, and her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. And if you have that spiritual eyesight, you can clearly see that her time is near to come, and her days are not being prolonged. Hey, everything in the United States of America is in the red right now. It's going down economically, it's going down morally, and it's going down militarily. And we clearly saw an example of that with the agenda that the U.S. Army is promoting. These other nations, especially their militaries, look at the United States military as a joke. And hey, it's all going to culminate in, again, them shooting those 200 million nuclear missiles onto this place. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.